Meredith Kercher and Amanda Knox arrive in Perugia to register for school. Meredith Kercher and Amanda Knox become flatmates. Christian Tramontano wakes and finds Rudy Guede searching his apartment. Rudy pulls a knife and threatens Tramontano, then makes his escape. Paolo Barocci's law office is burglarized. A large rock is thrown through a second-story window through which the burglar gains access. Items from this robbery are later found in Rudy Guede's backpack. In the main piazza of Perugia, Meredith and Amanda meet Giacomo and Marco. Giacomo is Meredith's new boyfriend. The two young men live downstairs from Amanda and Meredith. Rudy Guede comes out of the Shamrock pub. He is drunk. Giacomo and Marco know him from the basketball courts near the house. They introduce him to Amanda and Meredith. The group walks back to the house together. Rudy uses the toilet in Giacomo's downstairs apartment. He falls asleep on the toilet. He is too drunk to leave and spends the night. Rudy Guede visits the young men in the downstairs apartment to watch sports on TV. Rudy Guede's next-door neighbor, Maria Mando Diaz, finds her second floor window broken and her mother's gold watch stolen. The gold watch is later found in Guede's backpack. Amanda and Raphael meet and begin their relationship. Rudy Guede is arrested in Milan for possession of stolen property, which links him to 3 prior break-ins and robberies. Police in Perugia accept responsibility for Rudy's release. He returns from Milan by train. Rudy Guede's landlady demands proof of employment and back rent. Meredith Kercher and her British girlfriends club hop and celebrate Halloween until the early morning hours. Giovanna Popovich, one of Raphael's friends, stops by his apartment. She testifies Raphael and Amanda are there. Everything seems normal. Meredith eats pizza with her friends and watches a movie. Raphael downloads the movie Amelie with his computer. Professor Alfredo Milani, a computer forensic expert, verifies this computer activity. Rudy Guede is recorded on the closed-circuit TV camera across the street from the murder scene, walking towards the house. Rudy Guede knows foreign students pay their rent in cash on the first of the month. Many times they keep this money in their rooms. He checks to see if anyone is home. He throws a rock through the window. He goes by the basketball court to make sure Giacomo and the others are not there. Patrick Lumumba, Amanda's boss, texts her not to come to work. Rudy Guede is seen on the closed-circuit TV a second time, again walking towards the house. Amanda returns Patrick Lumumba's text. It was this text that influenced the police to accuse Patrick of being involved in the murder. Giovanna Popovich returns to Raphael's apartment. Raphael and Amanda are there. She is invited in, but declines. Raphael's father calls. They speak for 3.5 minutes. Meredith Kercher leaves Robin Butler's apartment and walks a third of the way with Sophie Purton. Sophie said Meredith planned to go to bed early because she was tired from being out late the night before and had a class the next day. Meredith attempts to call her mother in England. Meredith is seen on the closed-circuit TV walking towards the house. The video is timestamped. The movie Amanda and Raphael are watching ends. There is human interaction on Raphael's computer. This activity is verified by the computer forensic expert, Professor Alfredo Milani.
There is additional human activity on Raphael's computer. Forensic expert Lalani verifies this activity.
Meredith unlocks her front door and steps in and relocks it. The front door can only be opened with a key. There's no interior turnpiece.
Meredith is unaware there is an intruder in the house. Rudy Guadet sits on the commode. He sees the light. He hears her enter. His first thought is escape. But Rudy cannot leave through the front door because he does not have a key. His only escape is out the second-story window through which he entered. This will take time. If he attempts this, he risks being recognized and identified.
Meredith walks down the hall to her room. She turns on the overhead light, tosses a book and notebook on her bed, and hangs her shoulder bag on the desk chair. The fact that she made no further attempt to call her mother and that she was still wearing her blue Adidas jacket suggests she was attacked very soon after returning to her room. Rudy Guadet enters the room. The murder weapon is in his hand. She stands. He corners her by the bed near the wall. Forensics suggests this is where their initial struggle took place. The shallow control wounds on the right side of her neck suggest he is in front of her, threatening her with a knife, trying to frighten her into submission. But she isn't being submissive. Even with the knife at her throat, she is defiant. She has knife wounds on her fingertips from pushing the knife away. She screams. Rudy said she screamed. And that is why he punched her in the face. He was afraid she would scream again and alert someone. Forensic evidence shows that Meredith had been punched in the face so hard that it caused bruising and swelling, evidence of severe trauma. Dazed, she falls back against the wall, then to the floor. She tries to scramble around him to the door. Forensics indicates the struggle moved across the room to her desk. Rudy grabs her by the hair and pulls her back with extreme force. A plug of hair is pulled out, is on the floor mixed in her blood. There is scalp trauma. She is on her knees. He straddles her from behind. He grabs her lower face with great force and twists her head up against his body, exposing her neck. Rudy is now in position to make the neck wounds. The neck wounds consistent with the coroner's finding. The neck wounds that ended Meredith Kercher's life. He fiercely drives the knife into her throat to the hilt. The force leaves bruises from the knife hilt on her skin. The third stab is yanked upwards, enlarging the wound. Blood flows onto his hand and pants. He releases her head and steps back. Meredith is dying. She crawls across the floor in front of the wardrobe. She attempts to rise by grasping the wardrobe with her left hand. Aspirated blood is on the wardrobe. Rudy Guadet grabs her collar and pulls her towards the nightstand. He removes her jacket. He pulls her shirt up over her bra. Aspirated blood is on her bra. He rips off her bra. Aspirated blood is on her chest. He takes off her shoes and socks, her pants and underwear. He places a pillow under her hips. He gets a couple of towels from the bathroom to wipe away some of the blood. He performs some type of sexual assault that leaves epithelial DNA inside her. Suspected semen is found on the pillow under her, but the prosecutor does not test it. Rudy is finished. He flips the bedspread over her body to cover what he has done. He cleans up in the bathroom, searches her handbag and the nightstand and her carry bag. He takes her rent money, pocket cash, credit cards, cell phones, and keys. He needs the keys to get out the front door. Meredith lost a half a gallon of blood. Her room is smeared and splattered with blood. Forensic evidence proves the existence of only 2 people in that room at the time of the murder. It is close to impossible for anyone else to be in that small room at that time and not leave a trace. Rudy Guadet locks the door to Meredith's room and walks down the hall, creating bloody shoe prints as he exits the scene of the crime. His most likely escape route is the wooded area behind the house. He is covered in blood and doesn't want to be seen. Someone uses Meredith's phone. The call is quickly shut off. The cell phone does not connect to the tower that serves the house, but one that serves Sant'Angelo Park, leading investigators to believe that a phone is no longer at the house. Another number is dialed on Meredith's phone. Again, the call is shut off quickly. The cell phone again connects to a cell repeater 364, the one that serves Sant'Angelo Park, indicating that the cell phone is no longer at the scene of the crime. Meredith's cell phone receives a multimedia message, again from the cell phone repeater 364, a clear indication that her phone is in Sant'Angelo Park. The cell phone technician testified it was the ringing phone that made the murderer realize he held evidence that linked him to the crime. Thus, he threw the phone away. The technician concluded with 99% certainty that at 10:13 p.m., the cell phone was in Sant'Angelo Park, where it was found the following day. Pasqualino Coletta's car breaks down across the street from the murder scene. Pasqualino testifies he heard nothing out of the ordinary while he was waiting for road service. Mechanic Gianfranco Lombardo arrives. It takes him 10 minutes to load the car and document it. The closed-circuit TV shows the tow truck arriving at 11:14 p.m. and leaving at 11:24 p.m. The prosecutor believed the time of death to be 11 p.m. or later. The speculation involving Amanda and Raphael needs more time. Rudy is seen at the Domus nightclub. Witnesses say he had cash and was smelling awful and acting strangely.
Amanda wakes up. She tells Raphael she's going home to shower and change her clothes. She leaves his apartment. Amanda Knox returns to her house and finds the front door open. She feels concerned. She takes a shower and notices a small streak of blood in the sink and a light stain on the bath mat. She finds Meredith's door locked. She becomes increasingly alarmed. Amanda finds the unflushed toilet. She starts to panic a little. Something is very wrong. She does not want to be in the house alone and walks back to Raphael's apartment. Alicia Bitalena finds Meredith's discarded cell phone in her garden. She calls the postal police. The postal police trace the phones to Meredith Kercher and Filomena Romanelli, her housemate. Amanda calls Meredith's phone. There is no answer. Amanda calls Filomena. Filomena testified, "I received a call from Amanda who told me that she'd slept at Raphael's house and that when she got back to our house, she had found the door open and blood in her bathroom. She told me she had a shower and that she was scared. It seemed really strange to me, and I asked her to check the house and to call the police." Amanda and Raphael walk back to the house. They find Filomena's room in disarray and her window is broken. In her witness statement, Filomena said, "We spoke to each other for the third time, and she told me that the window in my room was broken and that my room was in a mess. At this point, I asked her to call the police, and she told me that she already had." Raphael calls the police. He is cut off. Raphael calls again to report the break-in. The postal police arrive at the house to return the cell phones. They speak with Amanda and Raphael, who invite them to look through the house. Filomena, her boyfriend, and other friends arrive and enter the house. Filomena goes to her room and goes through her things to see what has been stolen. She is surprised as nothing appears to be missing. Meredith's door is locked. The young people want it opened. The police do not want to break down the door to Meredith's room as there is no immediate danger. It would be better to wait and get permission from the owner. After some discussion, Filomena's boyfriend breaks the door open. They find the murdered body of Meredith Kercher. The horrific sight causes an explosion of emotion, screaming, and crying. The postal police yell, "Everyone out of the house, now!" The postal police report the murder. The coroner arrives and is told not to take the body temperature. It is unexplainably not taken for another 11 hours, making it difficult to determine the exact time of death. The infamous 2-second kiss that becomes evidence that Amanda and Raphael are guilty of some type of immoral behavior. Giuliano Mignini arrives. He immediately ascertains that the break-in was staged and assumes that it was an inside job. Why? Because no valuables were missing. $450 cash that Meredith had to pay her rent is missing. No one could climb in the second-story window. The second-story window is easy to break into and can be done in a matter of seconds. Before all the evidence is collected or processed, and before all the facts are known, they begin to suspect Amanda. The reason? Detectives' intuition. No one in the Italian police or investigating team has the presence of mind to notify Meredith's parents of their daughter's murder. Her family finds out while watching the evening news. Amanda and Raphael want to help the police. They are questioned for 15 hours before they are released from the police station the next morning. They are not told that they are suspects, but are led to believe that they are helping. The horrible news spreads throughout Perugia. The Daily Mirror, a British national newspaper, is already saying that the police have ruled out that Meredith had interrupted a robbery. Someone is leaking inside information. Italian newspapers say that more than one man raped Meredith. More information is leaking to the press. The bizarre story of a drug-fueled sex game gone wrong is leaked. The reporters, newspapers, and tabloids love it. A perfect pulp fiction narrative to sell papers. Raphael is called to the police station. Amanda goes with him. They are broken through increasingly aggressive and illegal interrogation tactics. Steve Moore, a 25-year veteran of the FBI and an experienced interrogator, said, "This interrogation was simply planned coercion to force Amanda to say what the police needed her to say." Amanda Knox was interrogated for 8 hours, overnight, without food or water, in a police station in a foreign country in a foreign language by dozens of different officers, without being allowed a lawyer. It was not a spontaneous interrogation. It was pre-planned. Moore stated, "If you are going to have 12 detectives up all night for an interrogation, they need to know in advance. And the reason they interrogated Amanda all night was to break her." Amanda Knox, Raphael Sollecito, and Amanda's boss, Patrick Lumbata, are arrested and held on suspicion of conspiracy to commit manslaughter and sexual violence. The Italian police are proud of how quickly they solved this murder. The prosecution alleged that Meredith Kercher was murdered as part of an occult-inspired sex game gone wrong. It caught the imagination of the world press and spread quickly. The prosecution maintained the theory that 3 people killed Meredith, despite a lack of supporting evidence. A year after the murder, the prosecutor continued to hold the opinion that the murder was a premeditated sexual and sacrificial rite to celebrate Halloween. He was eventually persuaded to drop the satanic references, yet despite the overwhelming evidence that the murder was spontaneous and disorganized, he maintained that the murder was pre-planned. Police say they now have the knife. It contained both the DNA of Amanda Knox and Meredith Kercher. It became known as the double DNA knife. Extremely damning evidence. The murder weapon had been found in her boyfriend's kitchen. Case closed. It wasn't the murder weapon. Raphael's kitchen knife was too large to make the wounds. On retesting the kitchen knife, Meredith's DNA is not found. The lab that did the testing was not even remotely qualified to perform the sophisticated trace DNA tests. court-appointed independent forensic experts accused the prosecution's forensic team leader of gross negligence. They said that the procedures they followed were deeply flawed and did not conform to any scientific standard anywhere in any discipline. Rudy Guedet's fingerprints are found at the murder scene. Later, the DNA and blood evidence proved that Rudy Guedet was the only one in the room when Meredith Kercher was murdered. His DNA was found all over the crime scene, while Amanda's and Raphael's were not. Rudy Guedet is arrested in Germany. Patrick Lambada, Amanda's boss, presents an ironclad alibi and is released. This alibi could have easily been checked before his arrest. Rudy Guedet admits he was in the house on the night of the murder, but says some other guy did it. His story changes, like the prosecution's story, as new evidence emerges. Rudy Guedet is tried and convicted of Meredith Kercher's murder and sentenced to 30 years. Later in prison, Rudy is diagnosed with psychogenic dissociation, a disorder commonly caused by traumatic childhood abuse. Knox and Solecito are found guilty of murder and sexual violence. Knox is sentenced to 26 years. The appeals court reduces Rudy Guedet's sentence to 16 years. Why the lenient sentence reduction? Why did lead prosecutor Giuliano Magnini speak on his behalf? The most likely reason is because of his cooperation in the Amanda Knox, Raphael Solecito conviction. DNA experts tell the appeals court that DNA evidence used to convict Knox and Solecito may have been contaminated and fell far short of international standards. Amanda Knox and Raphael are acquitted. Their guilty verdicts are reinstated largely due to the testimony of Rudy Guedet. Amanda Knox and Raphael Solecito are declared innocent by the Italian Supreme Court. Italy's highest court of appeals said, in their opinion, there is no evidence that Amanda Knox or Raphael Solecito committed the crime or were involved in any way.